You know what? I've come to a conclusion. The Vikings don't deserve Kirk Cousins. He deserves way better than this fucking fan base. And this state. I mean, you could say the franchise too. I keep seeing it. I keep seeing trade him, cut him, get rid of him. He's trash. The big one now is there was a Pro Football Talk article about how they should trade him to the 49ers. And, most Vikings fans I see responding to that are like, oh my God, yeah, get rid of him, he's trash, get rid of him, he's garbage. Get out of that contract. What is the matter with this fucking fan base? I mean, I get that there's a lot of stupid football fans. I've said for years, football's popularity brings in more casual fans, which means it brings in a lot more uneducated fans and very stupid fans who don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. And I fucking had it with the Kirk Cousins truthers, or whatever you want to call them. Kirk haters, Kirk truthers, Kirk Derangement Syndrome. I don't know what the hell you call these people, but and maybe it's just perception, but they seem to occupy an enormous percentage of the Viking fan base. You can't reason with them. Kirk had a fantastic season. He had two clunky games before the bye that made it look like his stats were bad. And they lost those games. He was a contributing factor to them losing, particularly the Colts game and the Falcons game. He was absolutely a factor in losing those games. But he was also, after the bye, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think for the season, for whatever you want to, however much you want to take what Pro Football Focus says into account, they had him as the ninth best quarterback in the NFL. It's okay, that's pretty good. Especially considering he had a rough start and had a couple rough games early. But it doesn't matter to these people. I've fought the good fight for years on the whole wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. They're not. You can't convince people who think that they are that they're not, but they're not. But the only thing anyone wants to care about with Kirk is, 2 of the 3 years he's been here, they haven't been in the playoffs. They were 7-9 this year, so that's all on Kirk. No, it's not. Unless you are a fucking imbecile, you could see how bad that defense was this year. They had one of the worst defenses in the history of the franchise by every fucking statistical measure. Particularly, late in the year once, even Kendricks was out, then it was just that they had nothing left on defense, and we saw it. We absolutely got run over those last few games. Literally in this case of the Saints game. And people blame it on Kirk. They can't. These, the Kirk Derangement Syndrome people, they cannot see anything with the Vikings apart from Kirk. Everything is Kirk, except when they win, of course. Then when they win, someone else did it. It was they think Justin Jefferson threw passes to himself all season. Apparently, But now it's not just the thing about the 49ers. The report about maybe trading him to the 49ers. There's the Deshaun Watson trade rumors out there. And there's a lot of fans who are just fucking irate at Kirk Cousins because he's cost us Deshaun Watson. What are you talking about? One, Deshaun Watson may not even get traded. But he didn't cost us anything. It's like the odds are. Let's say our quarterback this past year was Case Keenum, and we stunk, and so we're 7-9. Like we weren't gonna necessarily would get Deshaun Watson. And look, I would, if straight up is just 1 versus 1. I would take Deshaun Watson over Kirk Cousins. But it ain't about that. Like, okay, great. Yeah, like I'd love it if we could have Deshaun Watson. I like Kirk, but I would take Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is better. He's a little younger and he's more mobile. That doesn't automatic. That's another thing. These fucking fan base things. They've convinced themselves that the only reason we ever lose any games is because Kirk Cousins isn't mobile enough. Well, have you ever seen the mobile quarterbacks? They get sacked a lot too. So, and Deshaun Watson was 4-12, I think, this past year. So it's like, it ain't all about mobility. Look at Russell Wilson getting fucking destroyed in the playoffs. Or Lamar Jackson. Like, these guys, just because you're mobile, that doesn't mean you're going to automatically just light it up week after week. But I'm just fucking. I mean, I've been fed up with this Vikings fan base for months now. I fucking hate Vikings fans. I hate them, and I don't mean the good ones out there. Maybe it's the silent majority or something. But the good Vikings fans out there. This ain't about you. This ain't about the fans who can actually think for themselves and don't just take what fucking columnists and sports talk show hosts and bloggers say about Kirk Cousins sucks because look at that contract, it's ruining the team. It's ruined the team. We've flopped 2 of the last 3 years because of him. Just the fucking Vikings would maybe won 3 games this past year if it wasn't for Kirk Cousins. Like, I know no one gives a shit anymore. Like I said, football has more stupid fans than any other sport by far. Probably more than any of the others combined. It's just the way it is. But I like every 5 minutes you go online and you see some stupid post from somebody about how Kirk Cousins sucks and he's ruined the Vikings and his contract has destroyed our team and we're in cap hell because of Kirk Cousins. Like, he's getting paid what people don't want to hear this shit. He's getting paid what he's worth. His play on the field has lived up to the contract. Nobody wants to fucking hear that because all they want to say is, oh, they didn't make the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. They were 7-9 this year, so Kirk Cousins is overpaid. He's a bum. Well, no, he's not. He's actually a really good quarterback. I don't know where you want to rank him. You can rank him wherever you want. I don't give a fuck where you rank him. Most people don't know where the fuck to rank him. Like he ain't Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry, he ain't. Like, that's not. I don't look at him not being Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and respond to that with Kirk Cousins is a piece of shit. I look at that he's a damn good quarterback. I'm really glad we signed him, and I'm glad we extended him. I'm glad knowing that we'll have Kirk Cousins next year with an improved defense and hopefully an improved O-line. We had a damn good offense this year despite a lot of shit going against us. And I'm excited to see what he does next year with hopefully a little better O-line and, hopefully a better play calling behind him. Like, but all the Vikings fans want to do is just ditch him. Like, what is the matter with these fucking fans? We've waited for years to have a quarterback as good as Kirk Cousins. With the exception of 2009 Brett Favre, we have not had anything like this at the quarterback position since Dante. That's fucking damn near 20 years. 2004 Dante Culpepper was the last time, that he was really good. So we've had prior to Kirk Cousins, we've had one really legitimately great quarterback season in fucking 15 years almost. And this fan base wants to just jettison that for what? And I know part of the reason is they've all got the fantasy that we draft a quarterback and he's automatically going to be a superstar. he's automatically going to be the next Patrick Mahomes or the tank for Trevor people who never shut up for most of the season until it became obvious that we were not going to get the number one pick. But I mean, they just every college quarterback is like, oh my God, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the best. We have to tank for Trevor. Oh no, we have to draft Justin Fields. Oh no, we have to draft Zach Wilson. Oh now we have to draft fucking dude from North Dakota State, Lance or something. Oh, we have now I'm seeing. Oh, we have to draft the guy from Alabama. Like, most of these guys are going to suck in the pros. Even Trevor Lawrence might suck in the pros. Nobody wants to fucking hear that shit because he's been so hyped up. But the odds are pretty good that he's going to be maybe good, but there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees at all. I don't. And these organizations that just chase the first round quarterback year after year, like maybe eventually if something works out, like maybe it's worked out for the Browns now with Mayfield, maybe it's worked out with the Bills with Josh Allen, but look at how many fucking years they had to just wander the desert looking for these guys. Odds are most quarterbacks you take in the first round, you're going to be lucky if they're as good as Kirk Cousins. And we've got one. We've got a very, very good quarterback who's still, I think, in his prime, or I don't know what his age is exactly, but he's certainly got prime years left. He's always healthy. He's always out there, and he plays his ass off. And he seems to be a pretty decent guy. And other than Stephon Diggs, that his teammates like him too. Despite media trying to stir up trouble there all the time. But we don't deserve Kirk Cousins fan base. This fan base deserves to have Kirk Cousins. What they deserve to have happen is Kirk Cousins gets traded, or they just cut him, or whatever, and then we spend the next 10, 20 years just drafting a bunch of Christian Ponders, and bringing in journeyman like Matt Castle. We bring in these guys just all the time, and we're just stuck with bad quarterbacks, and we're never a contender, and we never have a chance. And obviously I don't want that to happen. I want the Vikings to succeed all the time, but I don't. But part of me almost wants that to happen because a lot of this fan base deserves to have a losing team and a bad quarterback. You're assholes. I'm just sick of this shit. Day in, day out. And now it's we're barely even into the off season. I mean, we're not even into the part of the off season where moves can be made. It's just never going to stop, is it? Kirk Cousins could be here for another 1 year, or he could be here for another 5 years. And it's never going to stop. It's just always going to be this every fucking day, every week. Every single game will be a freaking referendum on his whole career. Like, I'm sorry that we were 7-9. We were not 7-9 because of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins played better this past year than the year before, really. I mean, because he was in worse spot most of the time because he's, at least in 2019, he wasn't like obligated to score 30 points a game or you have no chance to win. And we had better play calling too. It's like all things so like you take that stuff away. I thought he played better this past year than probably his whole career. I mean, his best years have been here. He played better here than with Washington, but and then this fucking fan base just turns around and just lays into him 24/7 and calls him a bum and calls him a piece of shit and calls him greedy because he's ruined our cap and screams about Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer are bums because they brought him here and they're bums if they don't get rid of him. It never stops with these people. They don't even, are they even fans? Like, what kind of existence is this where they're just essentially they're just following the Vikings just to bitch about Kirk Cousins all the time. Like, get a fucking hobby. Is that your hobby? I don't know. Like, find something productive to do. Like, you don't have to be Vikings fans. You don't have to like Kirk Cousins, but just stop fucking trying to gaslight the rest of this fucking world into thinking that he's a bad quarterback when he's not. I'm so sick of it. And there's one radio station out there that does it 24/7. I'm so sick of Score North. Fuck Score North. Fuck Judd Zulgad. Fuck Phil Mackey. Fuck those people. 24/7. Just trashing Kirk Cousins since the day he signed. And it's worked apparently because it's basically brainwashed I'm going to say at least half this fan base into thinking that he's a bad quarterback and he's the source of all our miseries. You know, there's always something that the certain members of the fan base focus on as being the one thing that's keeping us from winning a Super Bowl. You know, at this point it's either Zimmer or Cousins that people are used to be Adrian Peterson, used to be, oh, if only we didn't have Adrian Peterson around, we'd win a Super Bowl. Oh, if only we didn't have Brad Childress, we'd win a Super Bowl. Like, there's always something, and I don't know, maybe it's just that there's, a lot more access to opinion now, but like, and I know there's good Vikings fans out there. I know there's sane Vikings fans out there like myself who appreciate Kirk Cousins. And look, I don't think he's anything he's not. I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. But he's a damn good quarterback, and he's proven it. And he's had a lot of shit go against him in the 3 years he's been here. But we've seen how he can play. And we don't get that around here a lot. Like, I know everyone wants to, like, hit the home run in the draft and get Patrick Mahomes. Well, guess what? The odds are very, very much against doing that. And I'm not gonna. And I'm, look, if there's if there's some way that you could get Deshaun Watson here, I would take him over Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't take him by a lot over Kirk Cousins, but I would take him. Even though he's kind of bitching and being that he's almost pulling the Stephon Diggs. But no, I would take him. But that ain't gonna happen. Like, there's almost no way they're would be able to work that. And who knows if he want to play here because he's got a no trade clause. But like, I'd take him, but I'm not gonna just toss Kirk Cousins aside for nothing. I'm not gonna toss him aside to just go draft some random quarterback in the draft who might be good. He might be good, but guess what? If you draft someone at 14, you're gonna be fortunate if he's as good as Kirk Cousins. And then the other argument that I always hear is, well, yeah, but look at the salary cap. You can, if you're paying a quarterback a rookie contract and not, $30 million or whatever. Oh, look at all the other things you do. Well, it's not as simple as just, you have that extra money. Okay, go sign, 4 all-pro players. Maybe you can sign somebody. I don't know. They haven't not been able to sign anybody yet that they wanted to. People point to, they cut all these players last season. Well, yeah, most of them were either past their prime, like Xavier Rhodes or Linval Joseph, or you really aren't going to pay him the kind of money. Like, you were not going to pay Trey Waynes the kind of money he got. And they tried to re-sign Everson Griffin. He ended up going elsewhere. And look at all the other contracts they signed, all the other extensions they signed after Kirk. Remember, I'll never forget that was the they were beating the drum like, oh my God, if we sign Kirk Cousins to this contract, we're gonna lose everybody. Well, they didn't lose everybody. They re-signed everybody. And now a couple of those players are gone, but that's just the NFL. It's not because they paid Kirk Cousins a bunch of money. There's a lot of guys getting paid a lot of money. I'm so sick of the fucking Kirk Cousins 24/7 obsession, the Kirk Derangement Syndrome. Can I trademark that? I should really trademark that. Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome. KCDS. There you go. Seek medical attention for your Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome, people. Like he's a damn good quarterback. And there's no point in saying, well, the stats prove it, because then because everybody says, all the KCDS people, all they say is, well, all his stats are accumulated in garbage time, which is a fucking lie, and they know it's a lie, but they say it anyway because, hey, why bring facts into the situation? But it's like, the only stat they care about is wins and losses, which are not a quarterback stat. They're not. Kirk Cousins played a fantastic season this past season. Defense was shit. Offensive line was shit. Play calling was shit in a lot of key spots. Doesn't mean they were going to win a Super Bowl. And that's the other thing. I was like, well, you can't win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. You might not win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, but to say that you can't win, that's ridiculous. It takes more than just the talent of your quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I mean, you got, what do you got? You got Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, Josh Allen left in the playoffs. Well, 3 of those guys are not going to win. But does that mean you can't win the Super Bowl this year with 3 of those 4 guys? No. Does that mean you can't win a Super Bowl with some of these other quarterbacks who've been in the playoffs this year? No. Does that mean you can't win a Super Bowl with some of the guys who didn't even make the fucking playoffs? No. That's just not how it works. Team game. You need luck. You need things to go your way. You certainly need to have better than a rock bottom defense that we had. And I think we will have a much better defense next year. And that won't guarantee anything either. But I certainly would rather go into 2021 with this offensive personnel and Kirk Cousins and an improved defense and hopefully an improved offensive line and hopefully a little better play calling with whoever ends up being the coordinator, assuming Kubiak does retire. That's still up in the air. I mean, we had one of the best offenses in the league this year. Even with a bad offensive line, even with some really fucking stupid play calling at a lot of key spots, we had one of the best offenses in football. But I guess that's all. It has nothing to do with Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson set a rookie receiving record. I guess it had nothing to do with Kirk Cousins. Dalvin Cook had an amazing season. Guess that had nothing to do with Kirk Cousins, because obviously you can always run like we ran if there's no threat of a passing game. It's just tiring. It's tedious. Everything that goes wrong with the Vikings is Kirk Cousins' fault. Everything that goes well, Kirk had nothing to do with it. It's like the reverse Brady. We don't deserve him. Honestly, for Kirk's sake, I hope he does leave. And I will root for him wherever he goes, if he goes somewhere. If they trade him this offseason, or if they cut him, or whatever they do, I'm going to root for Kirk Cousins the next team he goes to. Unless it's like the Packers, but pretty sure it wouldn't be the Packers. God, what if he went to the Patriots? That would be a nightmare. Like if he, say they traded him to the 49ers, I would root for the 49ers. They would be my number 2 team from that point on. And I would, let's say they trade him to the 49ers. Next season, we face them in the playoffs, and Kirk Cousins lights our ass up. I would almost enjoy it. Just imagining the asshole fans having to stomach that, having to watch Kirk Cousins light our ass up in a playoff game after the way he has been treated by this fucking fan base and media for the last 3 years. We haven't won a Super Bowl, And it sucks, but so there are times where I feel like this fucking fan base doesn't deserve to ever see them win a Super Bowl. They deserve the misery because they're miserable people. These are miserable people who just want to shit who just want to shit on everything that we have that's good. You know, I guarantee these are the same people who call it the meaningless miracle. I guarantee they're the same people. Venn diagram of that is just a circle. You know, and I know it ain't the whole fan base, but man, it's a lot. It's a large percentage of the fan base. I truly believe that at this point. You know, we don't deserve Kirk Cousins. We don't. You know, I don't know what the future holds for him here or him in his career, but there's gonna come a time, whether it's a year from now or 5 years or 10 years, people are gonna look back and they're gonna be like, God, remember when we had Kirk Cousins and we had that explosive offense and he was flinging the ball all around the field, playing really well, and we just shit on him all the time because of his contract and because the overall team win-loss wasn't what we wanted it to be. I'd like to think there's going to be a realization moment, but it's probably never going to happen. But I'm just so fucking sick of this fan base. I swear to God, like we gotta be one of the worst fan bases in the NFL. We really do. Like I see some of these other fan bases. Like I see Bills fans. Like they love their team. And, you know, they've been bad for 20 years. But they love their team. We haven't been bad for 20 years. We've been bad for 1 year. And even when we're good, the fan base just wants to shit on everything and complain and whine about 98 and whine about 2009 and whine about Blair Walsh all the time. Like, you know, there's other dickish fan bases out there, but man, I truly wonder why some of these people even follow the Vikings. Like, because you clearly just, you hate them. You hate them and you hate Kirk Cousins even though he's really good. And it's either because you just hate him or you're just misinformed or you don't understand football or whatever it is, but I'm fucking sick of it. And Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome, man, it's a real thing. You know, I don't know when it's going to stop. Probably never. It'll go on much longer than this video, which is already very long. But like, God, we're awful. We're just awful. Vikings fans are the worst. They're just so bad. There's one takeaway from the last 6 months is the Vikings fans are shit. I don't mean all of them. You know, the good Vikings fans, you know, they know who they are. But these bad ones, these Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome people, or Mike Zimmer Derangement Syndrome people. Fuck, I could do a whole nother video about Mike Zimmer. I could do a whole nother one about Rick Spielman. Maybe I will. But like, all you do is you follow the team and you just bitch all the time. It's like, Kirk Cousins is good. I'm sorry, he's just good. He ain't a Hall of Famer. He's not. I mean, we'll see where his career goes. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, fuck, it's, you know, he would obviously have to probably win a Super Bowl to get in, but like, you know, he's one of the best quarterbacks the Vikings have ever had in 60 years. And we treat him like he's a Spurgeon win. I don't get it. I know it's never going to stop, but I sure wish it would, because I'm fucking sick of it. I am so burnt out on all the Kirk Cousins hate. It's just 3 years of this. 3 years of just constant bitching about Kirk Cousins from the moment he signed. Hell, from the moment it looked like he might sign. It just never stops with these people. You know, we win games. Well, fuck Kirk. He didn't have anything to do with it. We lose games. Fuck you, Kirk. Why'd you lose the game for us? We get a 50 fucking two-burger thrown on us by the Saints, and it's, oh, Kirk Cousins sucks. Why didn't you win the game for us? I tire so much of the stupid fans. The Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome people. You are miserable pieces of shit, and I hate you. And I really wish that you would just drop the facade and not even pretend to be Vikings fans anymore, because you ain't. You exist only to make it miserable for real fans and people who actually know what they're talking about. Because it's a chore to be a Vikings fan, and not because of the wins losses. You know, they're gonna always have good seasons and bad seasons. It's a chore because of the shit you gotta deal with fans and their reactions to things. We got a damn good quarterback, and I'm just dumbfounded why we hate him. And I guarantee there's going to come a time where we're going to all have to look back as Vikings fans and be like, we really had it pretty good with Kirk, and we didn't appreciate him. As we watch, some random first-round quarterback that we drafted and hype up turn into Christian Ponder, or turn into Tavares Jackson, or turn even into Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe is an okay player, but they ain't Kirk Cousins. You still gonna blame Kirk then when we're not winning a Super Bowl?